In this video, we're going to be talking about colors. Now, in web design or any design of some sort, color is super important. Color makes or breaks your design. So choosing the right colors and knowing how to use them in Divi is going to be very important. So let me share with you my process and how I find colors on a website called colors.co. So let's go ahead and let me show you. So this is where I would come in first to create my color palette. And now I'm going to show you how to add these colors onto Divi. So what you need to do is to come over here to your website, come all the way here to Divi and then click on theme options. I know I touched a little bit about this right at the beginning when we were exploring the Divi theme options. So now I want to show you how to add these colors properly. So this is your color palette. It's a default color palette and I highly recommend you do not use the default color palette. So this is where you want to come in and add your colors. So to add your colors, it's a matter of copying and pasting the hexadecimal value. So if I click here on the first color, it's going to show me the hexadecimal value of the color. So all I have to do now is to come to my tool of choice to help me choose my color palette. So now I can just go in and start adding all my colors like that. Move on to the next one. So I can just start adding these one by one until I've added all my colors. So as you can see, I'm just pretty much copying and pasting, copying and pasting. Paste this one here, move on to the next one. And I've got this color here. Paste it again. Move on to the next one. I mean, we're almost done. In fact, I'm going to skip this one here because it's quite close to this one. So let's move on to this one. I'm going to go in and paste it. Move on to the next one. So we have this really dark one, this jungle green. Come in and paste it over here. So now we have these two colors. So what I normally do, I just put a medium gray. So we just add 7777. And this one here could be white. There we go. So that's our new color palette. So now if I hit save, scroll all the way down here and hit save changes, what happens now is as I'm designing my website, this color palette is going to follow me wherever I go. And let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to come over here to pages, click on add new. So let's call this colors. Click on use Divi Builder. Right. So let's design this from scratch. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to now choose 3 blocks just to show you how this works. So first of all, I want to add a background color here to my section. So I'm going to come in here. Notice now my colors are all here, which is really cool. So I can choose my background color here, go with that slight gray. I can even go with something like that. In fact, let's go with something like this so we can see what I'm working on. So let's say that's my background. I can now come over here and add, let's say we're going to add a text module. I've just hit search. I'm going to select that. So now I'm just going to say your text goes here. I'm going to set this to a heading 1 like that. And then over here on the design, notice what happens when I go to my text. My colors are here. So I can now start choosing my colors right here. Isn't that cool? Look at that. So let's say I want to choose my font and this time it's going to be Playfair Display. And I can make this bigger. So let's increase the size. 48. Let's make this bold or semi-bold. So you notice now that I've just added my color. And because we are using a color palette, this really blends in really nice. So now I can save that. Now let's do something else. Let's add a button. So I'm going to search for my button module here and select it. And we have the standard one. So what you can do now is to go into the design, click on button, and then I can go into my custom styles for button. So this is where I can decide the text color I want to have. So I'm going to go with this color here. And then for my button background, I'm going to go with a slightly dark one like that. And I can do the same for the border as well. Now notice that the colors I'm using here are pretty much working really well together. So I can also change my button font here to, let's use Poppins for this one. Okay. And there we go. Now let's do something a bit more extreme. I'm going to come over here, and this time I'm going to search for a blurb. Okay, so what we're going to do here with the blurb is going to start with the background. So we're going to do something a bit dark like that. Okay, let's go with something really dark like that. And we can, to really have our contrast, we need to start playing with our elements here. So I'm going to go to image and icon and choose an icon. So the icon I'm going to choose, I can click here on filter and choose solid icon. So the icon I'm going to go with here is, let's go with something like, let's go with this briefcase or that. Okay. Now on the design, I can really go in now and start playing around with my borders. So notice how I can go in and start customizing this. So I'm going to go with, let's say 8 for my borders. Now I need to give this some breathing space inside my area here. So we can go to spacing, and let's say it's going to be 20 pixels all around, just to give this some breathing space like that. Great. Now we need to worry about the text. So to work on the text, I'm going to come over here, center everything, and then let me start here with the icon. So over here on the icon, again, my colors are following me. So this is where I can experiment and see what works here for my colors. So I don't like the background there. So if I choose that, that works. That also works. So you can really choose whatever color you want. So now I can just adjust the width of the icon like that, so it's not too big. So let's bring it down to 60. Now I can go to my text. So let's say I want my text color to be that, very subtle, and also make this pop-ins. So the reason why I'm taking my time to show you all this is because I really want you to see how I can play around with different colors and decide what's going to work for me. So I can go with white here. I can go with this slight grayish. So now I can decide what colors I want to use based on my color palette. Okay, so there we go. So here's something else we need to take a look at. In fact, let me go back in here and make this bold so we can distinguish this from the rest of my text. There we go. So that's much better. You can even make it all caps. Okay, so if you look at that now, this whole page or this whole section here, the colors really work well together, which is fantastic. But now Divi has another trick up its sleeves. If I click here on this drop down, on these 3 little dots here, we now have all these other colors that we can use, and these are chosen using an algorithm, and these colors will work well with our design right here. They're based on our main color palette. So let's say I want to change my title color. I can start playing around with my colors here. You can see that's a color here from this generated color palette. I can even go with something like that. That could work too. So you have so many colors now to play around with, and all these colors are shades and also variations of the colors that we have generated from our color palette. So this is another way that you can also play around with different colors. Now over here on this icon, again, I can open it up like that, and I can choose different icons to play around with. So I may want something that's quite light. I don't want something too bright. So let's go with maybe that. So as you can see here, all that is working really well in our design. So that is how you use color in Divi. So first of all, you can add all your colors to your main color palette, and then this color palette will follow you as you're designing your site. And as you're designing as well, we also get an extended color palette, which is generated using an algorithm to help you even add more colors to your designs. Because sometimes colors may be way too close together and they may not show great contrast. So that is how you use colors in Divi.